not bored to death, but all your friends have disappeared, and you're the last one left. If you want to live, I suggest not doing drugs and having sex. Run through the forest grasping for breath, as you're chased by a maniac wearing a mask of flesh, tripping over dead friends. This isn't over until you get revenge. Final girls try to survive in a violent world. It's eye for an eye. Hide behind doors, lying underneath beds, trying to bide your time and find your strength, and figure out how much time it takes to escape before it's too late, or come face to face with a grim fate. Welcome to Class Horrorcast. Let's see how long you last as you torture to death. So come join your host Aaron and Tomcat as we bring you a podcast that will leave you laughing in a body bag or a bloodbath. Welcome to Class Horrorcast. Let's see how long you last.
Let's hope you last the whole episode, because that's the purpose of the show.
Welcome, everybody. We finally made it.
We are here.
Yeah, this is the
finale.
It doesn't feel like it, but like this is like the big one. I think this is the one that I don't know about you, but I've been most looking forward to.
Yeah, me too, man. I really enjoyed watching the movie. So me and Bilbo Baggins over at Strange Brew, we did Richard Ramirez, and then after that it was like pretty late. I don't know, like 11:30, 12, like midnight, and then I watched it while I was already buzzed, and it's just like really enjoying myself. I've probably seen it. I think out of next to Jay and Silent Bob, it's kind of tied of how many times I've watched that movie.
Yeah, that's
movie, probably.
Yeah, that's definitely probably my one. That's in my like. I would say if you were to give me a choice, I don't know why you would ever be given this choice, but you're on a desert island, you can only watch one movie over and over again. That would definitely be in the running for me. I think that might be my top one.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's if I wanted to just be happy, it would be Jay and Silent Bob. If no one's ever seen that movie got me through a breakup when I was 14. I just like lay on the couch, and I used to watch it like almost like every day for a week. I was like, this is funny. Why did she break up with me? You're like a child.
Do you know what I done that with? Not necessarily getting over a breakup, but watching it literally every night going to bed, and it's such a bizarre. I don't even know why this happened. Pulp Fiction.
Really?
I watched that movie every night for probably a year and a half, every single night.
This is a tasty burger. It's like that's just played in your mind.
Would you believe seeing that movie and seeing that scene? I didn't like hamburgers or any form of cheeseburger or anything.
Really?
And then I saw that movie and I was like super young, and like we were in the States, I think that summer, and I was like, let me try a cheeseburger.
Does Ireland not have cheeseburgers?
We do, but like I was one of those kids that was like the fucking chicken nugget boy. That's
so
all I
weird.
wanted all the time, just like live on chicken nuggets.
Man. It's such a big thing in Canada.
What, eating burgers?
Yeah, eating burgers. Look at all of us. We're all fat and decrepit.
So yeah, we're finally here. It's the big showdown, Freddy versus Jason, a movie that many thought, I suppose, would never happen. And it did. And I think looking back on it, I'm actually surprised that we didn't see any more.
I know.
It's disappointing. For 2003, this movie made a fucking colossal amount of money.
How much did it make?
Worldwide, just at the box office, excluding any of the DVD sales or anything, it made 120 million.
It's pretty good. And then the DVD
for 2003, that would have been like really good. And then like supposedly the DVD sales were like astronomical. I couldn't get a definite number, but like they're saying it was like that times 2.
Are we allowed to play like the clip of them on stage like they're boxing? Because everything's copyright nowadays. Disappointing.
I seem to be getting copyright strikes on absolutely everything now.
It's crazy. Didn't you say there was one from my show or something like that of playing, which is crazy. Like should I be allowed to be like, what is am I allowed to do? Whatever. That's so dumb. But it just makes me think of like the Rocky scene. I was like, it's the final countdown. and then just like Freddy and Jason are just run up the stairs trying to get ready for their marathon. If anybody's wondering on the audio side, we are both dressed up. I am the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Voorhees. You know what's funny? I was gonna do it. You don't like skits on your show, but I was gonna do like, Jason, and you finally get to hear his voice.
Oh God, yeah, go for it.
He's like, "Well, thank you for giving me the 10th to come on the show. I was a very quiet boy, wasn't allowed to talk. My mommy would beat me, and I thought me and Freddy could be friends, but he's kind of an asshole."
You know what? I think I'd be pretty afraid of that, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's even scarier. So everybody, I am I'm wearing a bald
The
cap.
big reveal. Dun, dun, dun. It's Roy Burns.
It's actually Roy Burns. Who knows why he has so much strength during this, but or strength.
And he's missing a couple of chromosomes.
So funny. I was wearing the bald cap like all day on Sunday, and I just like, take that shit off. You look like a monk or something. So I have a drink. It's a new drink. I call it Pamela's period blood.
Wow. You're just going for it then. What's in?
It's a Caesar.
Period blood.
It's just a Caesar. It's really watered down now because it's been
Which
sitting.
is what?
So I didn't
remember. I'm from a fucking third world country, so
why is so spicy? It's pretty spicy actually. So people are like, okay, Bloody Mary. Me and Billy were just talking about this. A Bloody Mary is just tomato juice and vodka. A Caesar is like, it's Mott's Clamato juice, so it's like tomato juice and clam juice, which is weird, but it's pretty good. I have to say, it sounds weird because even when Billy's saying that, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's why it's called Mott's Clamato. But I'm like, it's weird because it is good, but
sounds absolutely horrific.
It's spicy, tart, delicious. Smells like pennies.
Ew.
Just kidding.
That really like irony, like mercury smell or whatever.
Oh yeah. I got the usually I go for a Mott's Clamato tomato juice. But I got this brand called Walters. A good thing this one's watered down, because the first time I had it, I was like, I'll get the spicy one. But they have like spicy, mild, medium. Usually the Mott's Clamato has like original and then spicy, and that's it. And it's pretty spicy, where I was like,
also, if anyone's wondering why both of us have an apparent speech impediment, it's because Tom is drinking fucking chili powder or something, and I have a cough sweet in my mouth. So if it sounds like I have a mouthful of marbles, it's to stop me from coughing into the microphone.
A cough sweet. It's cough candy.
Gay. Can you remember the first time you saw this movie, Thomas?
Oh man, I can. Definitely
again. Theaters.
No, I wish I did. I was too young. Okay, when did this come out?
2003.
2000. So I was 12. But I told you, we've talked about this before. When I heard about this movie and the internet was becoming a thing, we had dial-up, I think, still at this time. But I would just sit there and peruse the website, like, because it had like a cool graphics, and you click to the one side and that's Freddy, you click to the other side. I remember it was like white and kind of gray looking, and I used to download all of the pictures. I'm a weirdo. I used to go on the Scream website.
Done that as well.
And then I used to download all the sound effects from Scream all the time. For some reason, but I was super excited for this because I was a fan of Jason and Freddy since I was very young. I used to draw Jason on everything. I probably have maybe the art somewhere of me like drawing Jason bloody body parts. I was a weird kid. And then I feel like this happened a lot where I definitely watched it with that friend I've said numerous times, Austin, because I was always with him. We were like best friends, and he was the one that I like. His parents were a little more lenient. Like we watched like Super Troopers and stuff like that with his dad. Like his dad was coincidentally his dad was in a cover band for U2. He was the drummer, and he looked exactly like Bono, like almost exactly like, but a short Bono, a very short Bono. Like he was like, I don't know, he's like 5'5", 5'4", or something like that, and it's just weird. But his dad was kind of like, you go into his like his room where he would do his computer stuff, like for the music that he was doing or whatever, and there'd be like this like big the wallpaper of this sexy chick on the wall around, you know what I mean? Like like a naked girl on his computer screen, and we're like 10, like, what are you doing in here? But
Jerking off.
yeah, I definitely watched, I think, with him around that time. I was so excited. I this even rewatching it, so many memories of like kind of when I first saw it, and I don't know, maybe I didn't see it for the first time until I was like, I guess maybe like 13, 14, and I fell in love. I fell in love.
I can't even really remember
Remember? Do you
the first
remember?
time I saw it. I'm trying to think. Um, Fun fact, actually, as of recording this, it is to break the fourth wall a bit. It's September 10th, I think, 2024, and
Almost my favorite holiday.
in 3 days, on Friday the 13th, I'm doing a 25th anniversary screening of Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, the Wexford Movie Club. Is that what you
Yeah,
call
I
it?
just made that up. It's not
I mean,
even a thing.
yeah, we'll make it a thing. I'm jealous, man. I would love to do that. You know how much fun that would be if I could just go there. I'd just
I
dress
know.
up. We would just both dress up, and we do like a panel probably at the end. And maybe one day we can get there. It's crazy that we developed this friendship when you are across the world, because if you were around me or I was around you, there would definitely be these opportunities to go to bars and stuff and probably do some sort of show like that. Um, I'm jealous. I would love to do something like that.
That's the dream.
Yeah, to do
That
panels.
that's literally the dream, I think.
Keep supporting the show, everybody. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your sweet old Bets and Betsy. I don't know. Just like tell everybody. That's the word of mouth is the best way to get the shows out. And like, subscribe, and support. It's
I tried
very
to use
important.
that Wayback Machine thing to get the old website, but it's not
Oh,
working.
really?
Yeah, it's not working properly. It's going to take like an eternity, I think, to load
Weird.
because it keeps redirecting to the Warner Brothers website. They have like a weird thing that they've like, but
I'll try to find it.
so let's get into some of the stats, I guess, while you're having a look for that. So, release date August 15, 2003, directed by Ronny Yu, who, in my opinion, he's done other things, but in my opinion, was best known for directing Bride of Chucky,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which I
I,
also love.
so do I. And I feel like that'll be eventually a deep dive too. You know what my
Oh,
one
for
guff
sure.
is with him that I like more now, but didn't at the time. I didn't like the squirting blood. I wasn't a fan of that when I first saw it. I remember being like,
I-
"That's dumb. It should
In
be."
this movie,
Yeah,
yeah, it is a bit.
Jason's got the blood squirting out of his leg when Freddy's throwing that
Yeah,
like cement thing down at him or whatever. I wasn't
yeah,
really a fan of that.
yeah. They really go over the top on that.
I
Also, something I thought was a unique bit of trivia that Ronnie Yu um, made this and Bride of Chucky,
Yeah,
and Jason Ritter, the guy who plays Will,
yeah, yeah.
like the main dude who
Mhm.
like comes out of Weston Hills or whatever.
I love his friend.
The little guy.
Yeah, man. He's in a ton of stuff. I'm gonna look up
Yeah,
the
and you know he originally wasn't even actually meant to. He was only had like a little tiny bit part.
guy's
But
funny.
did you know the guy who plays Will, Jason Ritter,
Yeah.
is the son of the very famous John Ritter, who was in Bride of Chucky.
Oh, weird. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I'm trying to find out where that one guy was actually from, where I knew him from. The friend that like farts. I did write that down. I have a ton of notes of my thoughts, but that fart scene is me. I because that's why I remember watching with my friend Austin, because we're like little kids, right? And when he's like, ooh, ooh, ah, ah," and he like farts, and the guy's like, they have to
Oh
like
yeah, he pulls his ass out on the fucking
yeah.
on the window.
Me and my buddy, we're like, we got 13, probably, I think we're 13, 14. And we're like, I think it's so funny. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's
But
dumb.
it's like that seems like some of the funniest shit.
Oh, he's in Leprechaun Origins? I don't remember. Huh. Oh, Ginger Snaps 2. Maybe that's where I know him from.
He's been in The Last of Us. Huh.
Ginger Snaps 2. I'm talking about that Brandon Fletcher guy, the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
friend.
yeah. He was in The Last of Us as well.
You know what? You know what? It's off topic, but man, Ginger Snaps got me when I was a kid. That movie freaked me out.
Yeah, likewise.
That one guy, Jocelyn Moro, that guy's in ton of stuff. Obviously, most well known for Scary
Scary
Movie,
movie.
where he's got the micro penis.
That's like the worst thing to be
This is
famous
like
for.
a disability, man.
That's like the worst thing to be famous
We
for.
definitely need to do a like horror comedy episode, even just to start that avenue, and then like eventually we can cover certain things. But man, there's actually some pretty good horror comedies out there, man. Stupid. It's like a disability, man.
So it was made on a budget of $30 million. Now that's excluding, I think they spent $7 million over the course of like 15 years getting all those different script ideas.
Mhm.
And then obviously there was a lot of other money pumped into marketing and different things. Opening weekend, it done 36.4 million in just in the United States. And it stayed at box office number 1, I think, for 2.5 weeks, which was kind of unheard of in a way for a horror movie.
Well, it was fun, and like you know what, you're gonna like see it now. I'm like popping my collar and pimp Jason.
Nice.
Start
Nice.
to get into sexy Jason.
Oh, nice. I gotta put off fucking YouTube.
Spread chest hair.
Yeah, budget of 30 million. Worldwide gross of 116.6 million. Runtime 97 minutes, which I think works perfect.
Yeah.
An R rating for pervasive, strong horror, violence, gore, sexuality, drug use, and bad language.
That nudity, man. I can say I did own this on DVD as a young boy, and there was a lot of pausing going on during that shower scene and the begin. What's that scene? She's on like the dock.
Oh yeah, at the start, and she goes like,
yeah, and like shakes her shoulders. Oh
yeah.
man, that did not favor well with me as a little boy trying to keep it in.
The actress Catherine Isabel, who plays the chick you're talking about in the shower.
Yeah.
So right, I was always like, "Oh my god,
She's
so
in
hot!
Ginger Snaps.
Wow, she's
Yeah.
so hot. Her big titties. Wow, amazing." Fun fact is, she actually fell out with the director because he was insistent that she had a nude scene, and she was like, "No, I signed the contract on the basis that they didn't have to do nudity." And he was like, "No, you have to do it. You have to. You have to do it." And she was like, "No, no, no." So eventually they compromised. That's a body double. That's not her.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you could do that, right? Just pretend, right?
It just ruined my whole thing. I was like,
damn, I know that's disappointing. Because that chick definitely had fake tits. And for people like, especially women that listen to this, you don't understand what horror movie does for men a lot of times, of like how it like changes your perception of things. And it's usually for a lot of guys, it's usually the first time that dudes do see like boobs and stuff is like movies. You know what I mean? So and it awakens something inside you, this animalistic behavior.
well, I suppose we're doing a little bit of a Wayback Machine, at least in our time. Now, like, there's kids probably looking at like double penetration, like gangbang things and all on their phone.
That's
so it's like
sad to me though. Like to have a little bit, whatever, and like, you know, I remember like dial up and having it like go slowly, and you're like, oh
dude,
man.
I swear to God, right? If I had grown up in like the age of the internet now, I probably would have been some weird little cretin.
I know.
In,
Well, you wonder
under
why.
the fucking stairs.
You wonder why they're like putting cat boxes in schools and stuff. Like I'm trying to look up this thing on Wayback Machine, and all it's giving me is these pictures from the site, which it does bring back a lot of memories. I'll bring it up for everybody. I kept calling the Wayback Machine, but Billy's like, it's just the Wayback Machine. I was like, no, we're going way back. So this definitely gives me like, I'm surprised, like why aren't we allowed to access these old sites? You know what I mean? Like it would be so cool. Like this definitely, I remember the AOL, man. AOL Online. So weird, dude. Come talk with us in our perverted chat rooms in AOL, because that's what it was a lot of the times. These do bring me back though. that gray, that whole
Yeah.
like, dark
Uh,
gray that it kind of had going on. Yeah, it's sad though. You can't. I try to find it, but you can't. Uh,
Same.
disappointing. But that was like I was just obsessed with this site. I couldn't tell you how many times I like looked at it. Like I couldn't tell you. It's so dumb.
Um, I was like that with lots of shit though. It's just fucking sad how I didn't end up in a padded room somewhere.
I know. So
Ugh. Okay, so for people who might not know or have never seen this movie, just give a rundown of the plot.
yeah,
So,
have you not seen
Freddy
it?
versus Jason is the ultimate showdown between two iconic horror villains, Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series. Freddy, weakened and nearly forgotten by the people of Springwood, revives Jason from hell to kill and instill fear back into the town. However, as Jason continues his rampage, Freddy realizes that Jason is uncontrollable, leading to a massive showdown between the two titans of terror.
Yeah,
I
that
just think that's
beginning
just
scene is so
it's
good.
perfect. I love
Freddy's
it.
monologue. I can't come back if nobody is afraid. Like it's so good. And like the that was a good way to bring in the film. And then obviously I wish I was this age or like, 16, 17, 18 at the time when it was coming out where I could go see it in theaters. I'm sure the crowd was like clapping and like and it shows his teeth and his teeth are all gnarly and like sharp, which you didn't really see in other movies, like in this visceral look to him. And so good, man. I'm gonna try to find this website. I swear to God.
They originally, I think the idea was to not have Freddy like barely talk at all.
That that would be dumb.
Yeah. And I still seen people who were involved in like, different drafts of the script and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, I think it was a bad way to open the movie by having him talk. He talked for like 5 minutes straight, and it kind of ruined the illusion."
I don't think I even
I
wrote that.
don't
I
think.
love the Freddy monologue at the beginning, but so weird about like the many children fell victim to my blade, and this is where you dance that line where everybody knows he is a child murderer, but it was almost like talking about it more in the film, more than they have really. Like they just kind of hint at it, but that's the stuff that's like. Well, if you actually analyze the film, it is in check out the deep dive on Nightmare on Elm Street, but it is a pretty disturbing he's one of the more disturbing killers, and how he's almost looked upon as comical, but he's literally a child killing molester creep. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of like weird drafts of the script and like ideas on how to. I think the biggest point of
Yeah.
contention, a lot of people thought that the biggest point of contention was who was going to win, Freddy or Jason.
Oh yeah.
But supposedly the biggest problem that all the different screenwriters and people who were coming up with ideas was, how do we merge the two worlds together and make it somewhat believable within like the confines of horror? And like some of the other ones that I had seen, like the ideas, it was like one was supposed to be that Jason was molested by Freddy as a kid.
What?
Yeah.
That's so bizarre, man.
Um that like, either Jason was an Elm Street kid or that Freddy was a camp counselor and was molesting kids at Crystal Lake. Another one I think was that
Who would molest
Freddy
Jason? To be
raped
honest.
Pamela Voorhees,
Oh yeah,
and then that's so that she had that like freaky child. So technically, Freddy would have been his dad.
that is so weird. That's so weird. Try to bring that together. Check this out. This is pretty cool. I just like this poster. It looks cool. The or the
Oh yeah,
Friday 13th
old school.
7. That's cool. That's a cool different. I was
Mhm.
just like flipping through some of the images. Such a classic. So many good things about this film.
I don't think we'll ever get a movie, in my opinion, like this huge ever again.
No.
Like for horror, to bring
Yeah.
to bring two characters like that together. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I know there's been
And
talks of doing Chucky versus Megan or Chucky and Megan in
yeah,
a movie together.
could be
But
interesting. I think like the idea of bringing the Evil Dead into it, you could do something, but they got to get it out of that the what's that called? The it's kind of singing limbo with the Friday 13th because of I think it's Victor Miller, the one that's causing the problems. I can't remember. I don't think it was Sean Cunningham. I can't remember.
At this point now, it's just like somebody fucking just do something with it, please.
Or die, man. One of them die.
Yeah.
That sounds so bad, but I'm like, realistically,
kill them.
like let this franchise go. As long as it's done right. That's what always disappoints me.
The other side of that is though,
Blumhouse takes a hold of it. I'm coming for them. You know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna do what you did to my boy Michael.
I think Blumhouse are actually after getting their hands on the Blair Witch Project license now.
God.
So you know the way
we should do Halloween Ends commentary. Maybe we can try to fit it in this year. If we do it right after Halloween.
I don't know if you've seen a while ago. I think it was on like Empire and a couple of other like really big publications where the 3 actors from the Blair Witch Project came out and said about the fact that like they never got residuals, they never got anything. Their likenesses have been used for the last 20 something years, like, and they got nothing on the back end. They don't get checks, they don't get royalties, they don't get anything.
That's bullshit.
And they were like, we feel like that, you know, we were part of one of the biggest horror films ever, and like to not have anything off the back of that, and the fact that yeah, and so now it's all coming to light, and the fact that for years they couldn't get roles because they were told to kind of lean into the whole like lore of like being dead and it all being real.
Wow.
And I think they all felt like that if they spoke up against the studios, they would get completely blackballed altogether. And like only now, obviously, all these years later, they've come out with it. But I seen that one of them posted something on Instagram like 2 or 3 days ago, and they were like, "Thanks to the fans and all the support, we finally got what we wanted. We have a meeting scheduled with the heads of Lionsgate to talk about what's going to happen with like what's been done to us and the future of the Blair Witch Project." And also big thanks to, and we can't wait to have this meeting. And then they tagged Jason Blum.
Do it right, man. Because
So is he getting in the middle of this now as well, which is another franchise?
Like we said, I used to be all like for Blumhouse because they were pushing, they had the money behind them and they were pushing a lot of horror into the mainstream. But after what they did to Halloween, when I did like the first one, and then it just gradually got worse. I could have written a better script. Do I have the time to do that? No. But if I was given the money to, there's so many avenues that they could have taken, and it's just disappointing. And I don't try to change staples of like the horror genre, right? And morph them into something that is either progressive or whatever they want to do with it, because it's not going to work. Look what you did to The Exorcist. I haven't even watched it and I've heard how bad it is, but I do think that we should do a commentary on it because I want to rip it apart. I want to see it the first time with you for fun.
Yeah. There's a few times I'm like, I was going to watch it and I was like, no, leave it.
Yeah.
Wait for the episode.
So it'd be fun.
Let's get some taglines out of the way. See what you rate some of these out of.
Okay.
Oh God. Some of these are fucking awful. Okay, we have the slicer, the dicer, and this time they're not any nicer.
That is just that's pretty dumb. I don't know if I like that.
We are laughing.
Freddy versus Jason, place your bets. Wasn't that in one of the trailers? Did they have that chick saying that?
Yeah, I don't mind that, I guess.
Some of this other shit is A Nightmare on Elm Street meets Friday the 13th. Terrible. A Fright Till the Death.
No.
Winner Kills All.
It's not terrible.
Evil Will Battle Evil. That's just
it's lacking.
Even a Killer Has Something to Fear.
God, man, some of these I'm like, you couldn't do any better than this.
When the son of 100 maniacs battles an unstoppable killing machine, none will survive.
I don't mind that, actually.
Yeah, that's okay. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, Jason's at your door. That's my favorite.
Really? I guess this is ridiculous. That's funny.
I don't know what I would pick there.
No.
I feel like something like Even a Killer Has Something to Fear is like the generic shit that they would put on
Yeah.
DVDs.
Evil will battle evil. Yeah. A Nightmare on Elm Street meets Friday 13th. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's what the whole movie's about.
That's just to like slap it up on the fucking thing.
Do
But
you
yeah,
have
like
any of the like art from like around the world? I can try to.
no, actually, I don't think I pulled posters.
Okay, I'll try to do that.
There's very little in this movie that doesn't work for me, at least.
Yeah.
I enjoy like 99% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you want to see at least this one?
Sure.
That's pretty bad.
That?
I don't know. I just put up Freddy vs. Jason 4 in
Ghana.
posters. That's so weird.
Oh, and they're notorious for that. You know, they're actually super famous. Those posters from fucking because
Yeah,
they do that
isn't
with
that-
a lot of horror movies.
Isn't that where Jim Jones brought all of his followers and then murdered them?
What is that one? Is that real?
What, down there?
No, there was another one beside that. I don't know where it's gone now.
This one?
Down. That one.
Oh yeah, weird.
Oh, that's
there's
another
that
one from
stick thing.
Ghana or wherever.
Wow, look at how bad Jason's
The
mask.
War of Doom. And so I read something out on a podcast we done before about this. Remember I found the backstory of those posters. It's like some big thing and they tracked it back, and it's a thing they do in Ghana where they have these dudes and they tell them what the movie is. They show them some stills of the characters, and then they ask them to interpret their own movie posters.
It's
Look, there's more. They're
know.
terrible. They're awful.
So
Like,
bad, man. And I just feel like these guys are probably like in some sort of sweatshop making these. Go faster. I don't know where that is. I thought they were Asian. They probably, I don't know what Guyana is. I'm pretty sure that's where Jim Jones brought his followers and then gave them all the poison. Yeah, so weird. Some of them are so bad. That's fun. I just wanted to look up foreign posters. That's cool.
but I enjoy basically everything about this movie.
Yeah. There's not much I actually can critique, which is weird because I'm always the one that's like, wow, I gotta pick apart this or that. Oh yeah, I already said that about me having it on DVD. I do love the scene where Freddy is tempting Jason in this like eternal sleep that he's in, and he's kind of like playing and toying with him. The mom is cheesy as fuck though. She's like some of the lines she has are just like it is.
Yeah.
When he's like inside of his head as he is eternally sleeping in the ground. But I gotta say, it may be one of my favorite Jasons. The dark head thing is a little weird. But I guess at the time of decaying, your body does turn purple and stuff like that after like decaying in a grave. You know, some like green, purple to black or some disgusting shit like that. So it might make sense. But it is a good look for him when I think of Jason. If I was gonna fight all of the Jasons, if I had to fight each one of them, and like who I'd want to fight the least, who I wouldn't want to fight would probably be this one, because he's kind of more. He's very brutal. He's tall. He's hunched over you. I'll kick the living shit out of Roy Jones though. Or boy, what is that? Is that his name? Not Roy Jones. It's a boxer.
Roy Burns.
Roy Burns. I'll kick the living shit out of Roy Jones. No, I don't take that out of context, man. I'm not gonna fight you.
I know we talked about it a second ago with like the squirt and blood and shit like that, but it just reminded me of I love that scene in the cornfield where Jason comes out and remember what does the dude say to him again? Remember like the two drunk guys and there's like the fat guy? What does he say to him? He's like, "Oh, look at you!" And he's like doing all that shit to him, and he just twists his head off.
And he's like, what does he say? He's like, you, not going, and then he like twists his head off. Oh, I thought I wrote it down.
It's so good. And he just with one finger then just tips him over.
I swear to God, I wrote it down.
But yeah, they really go over the top in that scene. Like there's a part where he kind of slashes across a dude's chest.
Yeah, and he's like
And
running.
the guy,
It's
yeah,
all-
the guy turns towards the camera in like this weird spin, and like all the blood is squirting out of his chest, and he's kind of like wiggling from side to side like this.
Yeah. It's so funny. The tossing the raver, like that's such a memorable scene though of like him.
Oh yeah, he has him on a thing, and he goes like,
He's like, "Where's the Halloween man? Like, nice costume." And then they like the guy throws all the booze on him, and he's like, because they have to point to he's drinking Everclear, because you hear them say it, where it's like this Everclear's hit. And I don't know if they're talking about the weed, but I'm pretty sure Everclear is a potent liquor, and that's why. I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure it's like
that's
one of
why
those
it
100
would
proof.
light on fire.
Yeah, so because you have to kind of point, because if it was just like whiskey, Everclear is like pure 190 proof. Holy shit, man! You would take like a half a shot of that and you'd be wasted. We can't get stuff like that in Canada. In the States, you can though. Even like it's funny because even at the credits, even when it comes in, is kind of dope because I don't even know what song it is, but I just remember that when the credits come in, it's like shoo, shoo, like slash and stuff, and then it's like that metal song, and it's very quick though. It's like and then into
The
the
soundtrack for this movie is fucking unbelievable.
I do like it.
I'd love to. I was listening to it before we came on. I've been listening to it in the car when I'm driving and stuff.
That's actually nice.
Oh, dude, and it's such a like. I was
Do you know
getting
what
like
the intro song is?
and I do have it. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Look at the name.
Yeah, it's so funny because that's like, and that's one of the scenes I remember when I was young, where I was like, "This is sweet, man!" Like metal, and I was a very emo kid. And this outfit is hot. My head is hot.
I was just gonna say a few minutes ago. I don't know how Freddy runs around for a whole movie in this jumper because I am sweaty.
I know, because it's like pure wool. Oh my God!
I think it's called "How Can I Live."
Weird.
I think is the name of the song.
Isn't that a Korn song in this? I can't remember it. Like
there's Power Man 5000, Stone Sour, Lamb of God, Kill Switch Engage, Hate Breed, Murder Dolls, Typo Negative, Mushroom Head.
Oh, weird. I remember Mushroom Head. That's hilarious. I haven't listened to that.
Cedar, Sepultura.
Cedar?
Yeah.
That's isn't that like he does that sad song
with that chick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like sitting out in the middle of like nowhere with like a burnt out car or something.
What's that song called?
Broken.
Is it called Broken?
Something like that.
Velvet Revolver. That's hilarious. Oh, that's Slither. I remember Velvet Revolver too. Seether? God, I can't even spell it right now. Seether Band. Oh yeah. That's funny. Oh, Broken. Now I want to listen to it. Oh man,
because he has that real weird voice. He's like, "'Cause I'm broken."
Photograph.
Copyright.
You can't hear that, can you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I could hear that.
How could you hear that? I don't understand.
I don't know. All I could hear was photograph.
I'm gonna stop playing it then. Wow, that's so funny. I totally forgot about that song. Copyright.
Every time I used to break up with a chick or get broken up with when I was like a little emo weirdo, I used to put on shit like that.
I know.
I'd have my Bebo account and I'd be like sharing that to it, being like, oh.
What the hell is Bebo?
Do you not remember that shit?
Oh,
that was like a social media thing. Do you not remember Bebo?
No.
Oh my God. It's so bad as well.
I'm very off topic, but I listened to the new lead singer of Linkin Park, the chick.
Oh yeah, the chick.
I was getting like chills. It's making me emotional.
I didn't mind her, but like she's getting some backlash online, and supposedly she's like a Scientologist and like a big scumbag.
Oh, huh. Well,
yeah. There's a lot of
deserve it if you're a
all these images came out of her with all like really questionable people and like.
Oh, interesting. Considering Chester Bennington was going to make a documentary with Chris Cornell about child trafficking. oh, and then they both mysteriously murdered. That's really weird, though. And
Yeah,
then
it
she's
is
like down with it.
strange. And now like there's calls for like because everyone's like, well, that's Linkin Park cooked now unless they do something and get rid of her or do
Wow, I did
something.
not know that. I just like, oh, her
Yeah,
voice was giving me kind of
same,
chills of like,
same.
wow, she sounds kind of close to Chester, but not a replica where it's like it's workable. That's crazy though. Well, Hollywood is never changing, or the music industry is always owned by pretty
Oh,
sick
yeah,
people.
do you remember that bit? Actually, I forgot about that bit there where the dude
Yeah.
is like feeling her up,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Cool,
gets
especially the molesting scene.
the
Another guff. Click that picture of her with the baseball cap on. I'm sorry for all the women out there. I don't like when women wear baseball caps. It is a guff I have. I don't like it. You can call me sexist or whatever. I don't think that women should wear baseball caps. It doesn't flatter your face or
so if she came up to you, then you'd be like, nah, sorry.
I
Why is she? Wow, I didn't realize she's literally wearing it with every
I
outfit for
know.
the entire movie.
It just doesn't look good. Like it to me, hats like that look, I don't know, masculine kind of. I'm not gonna say anything else, but it's been my guff. And then I've talked with Sawyer. He's been on my show a couple times, and he's like, "No, I can get behind that. You are not gonna ruin my party," and whatever he says. And he like twists his head. So we're going through some of the images. That guy's so down there is when he's poking him. Do you see him when he's like, "Yeah," like typical like down there? You see his
Yeah,
face.
because and doesn't that little chubby guy, isn't he saying something like he's calling him some sort of a hillbilly or something?
It's like, yeah, what are you doing out here, hillbilly? It's so it's actually I swear I wrote down the scene and I can't. I thought I swear I wrote down what he says and I couldn't remember.
Do you know who else I actually love in this as well? That it's just like there's so many little
That
things
rip off
and
Jason Mewes.
oh yeah, there's him as well. This dude,
Oh yeah,
I think this dude
Clay.
is hilarious. Like when he comes in and he's all like,
Babe, you know I don't like to be touched after
yeah,
they
and
have
he's
sex. It's
and
like,
he's like calling her, whatever. He's like, I'm gonna go upstairs. And he says something about like I have like a sore neck or something. He's like, you can rub it out for me.
mhm.
And and he walks away, and she's just sitting there. And he's like, "Babe, don't make me ask you twice."
I know, I know, and that like kind of douchebag. It's funny. I think it's hilarious when he gets folded into the bed.
That's the
And
best.
I literally wrote down, "Babe, you know I don't like to be touched after." Where he's like, they're having sex and he's trying to cuddle him, and he's like, "Get off me!"
Doesn't he say something about cigarettes as well to her?
Yeah, give me a cigarette. Some like such like a
No,
douchebag.
he doesn't like cigarettes or
Oh
something.
yeah,
She's
I
like
don't
they're
like.
menthols or something.
Yeah, your breath. I don't like your breath when you're smoking cigarettes.
He gets absolutely annihilated, which is hilarious. It's so good to see him get folded in the
Yeah,
bed.
because nobody likes him. And they had that like that loser kid that's trying to. I think he's trying to get Lori or something like that. And then
His friend.
yeah, and his head gets like he's like dad or whatever, and his dad's head falls off. So good, man.
Where he's
So
out
many
on the
good
porch of the
scenes.
house.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not gonna lie. It's so good, man. It's like, Dad, what's wrong, Dad? Dad. It's like his head just like
What's that
chopped off.
guy's name again?
Why do they have a GIF of just him like, oh, I know what you should do? Let's do Freddy versus Jason GIFs. And then we can't get copyrighted, but it'll show like scenes of it. That's so funny. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's sick. The slug, man. I wrote that shit down too. Like the Freddy slug is so stupid, but it's memorable also. And then you have literally the rip-off Jason Mewes. Like you can't tell me Jason Mewes, obviously with Kevin Smith, created a character so memorable in movies that people ripped it off numerous times and did like the same long hair,
Mhm.
toque wearing stoner kid. And it's so funny that he like that kid plays it pretty well. I do enjoy it. And it just that's also why I love this movie. Some of the characters are kind of memorable, and the acting was like not like 100% like actor or Academy Award winning, but they all did a pretty decent job at playing these kind of characters they're supposed to, or these kind of douchebag characters. You know what I mean?
Do you know who I probably was most like at one point in life?
What?
Fucking Linderman.
Oh yeah,
You know,
He has a
the
sad kind of death, man.
yeah, poor Linderman. He becomes kind of like a little hero.
Dude, the guy's name in the thing, the ripoff of Jason Mewes is Bill, like Silent Bob, Bill Bob, and it's just it is definitely like they did that definitely on purpose. Yo, we should try to get him on the show. He can't be that famous. He hasn't done that many things. But
The
you
stoner
remember,
guy. I was actually talking to him a couple of years ago.
really?
Yeah,
Maybe
but
we'll
I never,
talk. He's in Halloween Resurrection.
it never came to fruition.
He hasn't
There's
done
another
many
scene I love.
things. Oh yeah, I was gonna bring that up too.
Watching her bounce off of that
Kelly,
fucking
what Rowanson, whatever the hell his name is,
Kelly Rowland.
Roland. Yeah, she bothered me all throughout the movie. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Okay, stop being mean to the nerd.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you.
Remember eventually he gets pissed off at her and he's like, what's he
The
say?
makeup weighing down your head.
Oh yeah.
like
It's so
that.
cringy though. I'm like, oh god, that was probably some of the dorky shit I would have said to somebody.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of like, but she's the one of the characters that you want to see get murdered. Not gonna lie.
Do you know what I was surprised as well?
What?
Didn't she use the F word?
Fag?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember like, wow, different times, man. Couldn't say that anymore. Bundle of sticks, so dumb.
There's another good scene where he regrows his arms and then he does the jerk off thing too.
That is fun. Oh yeah, weird. I totally forgot. Almost like when I was a kid, I thought he was like going like the, and like blowing off your nails type of shit. But now that I realize what it is, and there's a lot of things that are so memorable about this movie, about the color changes, especially throughout the battle. And like, yeah, it goes from like green to like red. It was clever on the directors if it was his ideas to kind of have these color changes, especially through the dream sequence when they're having the battle and they're inside of Jason's head. It must be because he's like knocked out. So Freddy has the opportunity to kind of calm him down. You know what I mean? Just kind of bring him back to level because he's been acting a fool, taking all of Freddy's kills, right? So Freddy kind of gets pissed. You know what I mean?
So that was some of the reason I think why they pulled Ronny Yu to do this movie because of his visual style, because of the way he had shot the likes of Bride of Chucky and stuff. And he used what they call Chinese color symbolism in the film. So blue for Jason, which is in Chinese folklore or whatever, is the color of death and sadness, and red for Freddy, which is the color of anger and blood.
That's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I know we always do this, but Mike, I'd be pretty excited to talk about the Child's Play franchise, especially when we get Seed of Chucky. Man, I remember I was young when I watched that. It was so bizarre. Glenda, they call him retard and stuff throughout the whole thing. It's like so weird, man.
Not for me.
It's such a weird turn, man. But like you run out of ideas. Now look at Chucky, right? It's just so bizarre. But it is funny. There's so many like the one scene that I remember that did get me. I did write down the movie is nothing but memorable scenes. There's so many. The little girl without her eyes when Laurie is starting to have like these visions and stuff like that. That like creeped me out. I remember as a kid.
Do you know? Are you talking about the scene?
She's like in the police station.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about the bit. I was trying to get the image, but I can't find it. Where they all sit up. And they're all in the hospital. They're all pointing.
Yeah.
And they all have the shit on their eyes.
Oh, yeah. That's creepy too. There is like scenes like that. Really creepy. But the one chick, she's like, what's wrong with you? And then she's like, where are all his victims? Or whatever she says. Also, there's that Kelly Rowland scene where she's like, got your nose. Oh, yeah. Freaky. What are they getting done? Why do they have shit over their eyes?
I don't know. That shit used to freak me out, though.
I know. I'm not a fan of hospitals.
No, same.
I know. I've seen some weird stuff in hospitals, like people freaking out, and
There's another really good scene, actually. Do you remember
the counselor dead?
Well, that's very good. I do like that. I had to put that censored bar in there, actually.
I love the sheriff cop, the deputy. He's the deputy.
Yeah, I love that scene. So see where they're sitting around the table?
Yeah.
Do you remember they're all talking and Laurie, who's like the main chick with the big titties?
Yeah, she's I actually have her pulled up on screen right now.
She is there's something about your camera, it says.
Oh, give me a second. What's it doing that?
But I don't know if you remember this. She is I think she's sitting off in the background on like the couch.
Hmm.
I remember they're like saying something about like maybe you need to sacrifice or something like that. And do you remember they all start looking at each other and smiling? They're like, who can we get? And remember her boyfriend, that creepy dude there on the right hand side?
The
He
nerd?
turns around with the creepiest, no, not the nerd, the other guy, Will.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he turns around with like the creepiest smile and he's like, let's tie the bitch up. And they all get up like as if they're going to tie Laurie up.
Oh
And then
yeah,
she's having a dream, remember?
yeah. That's a pretty trippy scene. That's funny.
I always thought that was a really like weird scene.
Well, maybe because he knows that she's a virgin. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because they mentioned something about that, and they're kind of like making fun of her, and him and Kelly Rowland's character are kind of flirting.
Yeah, sacrifice the virgin, man.
It's kind of funny. There's so many like I could go from start to finish and like find so many parts of this movie that I love.
I know. And it, like the scene of, well, I'll get that's more towards the end, so maybe we'll get to that. But you know when they're like trying to like drug up Jason and like give him the hypnosil,
Yeah.
and it's just like so bizarre. Yeah, when they're trying to steal the hypnosil, and then the fart always made me laugh. I wrote down. It's so weird.
It's just so fucking.
It's
Just so random.
It is very random. And he's like, ooh, like that. I guarantee me and my friend played that scene back like fucking 10 times. We did the same thing. I told you about the Leprechaun Back to the Hood where he does the baseball batting. For some reason, the drive-by baseball batting. For some reason, I thought that shit was the funniest thing in the world. All my friends like laughing their asses off. So dumb. But there is like certain scenes where like even when the guy dies, the fart boy, and he's like,
That's another good scene.
Yeah, it's a good because he sees his brother that probably they believe was murdered by Freddy, and
And he's like he's after
Freddy gets him to kill himself,
slashing his wrists, you know?
Yeah, because that would be the concept is Freddy is getting him to like essentially unalive himself, which is wild, right? That if he has that and that that pull of people to kind of convince them to do that stuff with inside their dreams, which that's why Freddy is such a dangerous villain, that you can get inside your head. And that scene was pretty messed up. And he's like, I always got chills. Even though some people might think it's cheesy, but when he's like, wake me up, and he's like looking up towards the camera.
Yeah.
So freaky. And they're just sitting there, and then he starts catching on fire. It's a really, I actually really like that scene. And I remember when he's like, and it's the things are crawling up his leg and stuff, and he's like freaking out, and he's like looking up, and he's like, wake me up. That always gave me chills.
Yeah, and they do a POV where like you see what he's seeing and what he's going through, but then it shows like from outside the window looking in.
Yeah. Oh, and he's
It's
like
such
walking around and stuff.
Yeah, it's such a weird like concept.
It's almost
There's
like
a strange photo I found of. Do you know who that guy is down in the bottom right hand corner?
That's what's his name?
Nardwar or whatever.
Nardwar.
Yeah, weird man. I just randomly found that photo.
Nardwar is still doing stuff, man.
I know, yeah.
Canadian boy, man.
Yep. Very well respected in the hip hop community.
I know. And how you find stuff about people is so strange. Maybe I'll get interviewed by Nardwar one day when like, why is your song so offensive? He's a weird dude. That's so funny. And he developed a character for MTV, and then he's still doing it to this day, probably getting paid from it. And then he gets like viral clips on TikTok and stuff. So weird. Yeah, what I was talking about, like using the hypnocell, one of the scenes that is like pretty ridiculous, but man, it's very funny. Just that they had this in there. Remember when Jason flies out of the van when they like?
Oh yeah.
It's so dumb. He like goes, and he's like, you see him literally like if you see because they have to try to add it in, but they could have just like cut to something else or whatever. But how they do it is like they crash or whatever. And as they're like flipping, it tosses him. But you see him like where he goes out the door. And you know that like still where you're like, you go out the door, it's still for like a half a second. And then he flies the one way. and you just see his body up, and then it flies. It's so dumb, man. See if I can.
I was just thinking as well. Do you remember like that other guy's name was Blake? Remember Trey from the start, his weird friend,
Yeah.
the dude whose dad's head flies off.
Yeah.
Do you remember he's all like
He's like smoking a joint, or he's drinking
yeah, but
some.
remember
Seriously?
yeah, isn't he like sitting there or something? And he's like he's talking. He's like I think he's like, isn't he like talking to himself kind of? But he's like, Ray, I'm not gonna let them get away with what they done to you, man. And all this
Yeah, I
shit.
know. It's so weird and embarrassing. Just that guy, and that's what I'm saying. The characters are like very memorable. Oh man, I'm really trying to find where he flies out of the van. It's giving me the scenes of the van, but I can't help it. There is so many iconic scenes and things within this film. Even when he's kind of Jason's in that like meditated, well, he's asleep or whatever, and then he's dragging the body through like the campground, and then he throws it into his like closet. And it's like essentially like all the bodies that he's killed over the years or whatever. And then another titty scene. I think I paused at that. It sounds fucked, but man, I was a kid and it's like I barely saw boobs. And like that whole scene is, I actually find that very creepy. Of when he's kind of dragging that camp counselor. Whoa.
Do you know what else is quite disgusting? And
Yeah.
it's part of that scene, I think, as well. Don't they have to give him mouth to mouth?
Oh yeah, and he's like spitting out water and stuff.
Remember, because Linderman is like, "Oh, I've got asthma, I can't do it," or something. My lung capacity is not right.
You're gonna have to do it. Oh,
Oh.
no!
Da,
Oh,
da,
stupid.
Freddy is melting.
Yeah, give me a sec. I don't know why this is fucking. That's why I get trying to use this fucking goddamn expensive camera. This is what I spent the money on it for.
I know you should have learned from me. Every time I spent loads of money on something that doesn't work properly.
It's probably because it's on 4K because I want it to look good. Fucking dumb, makes me mad.
You've got it on full autism.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there's so many fun kills. Like there's so much cool shit in this movie. Here's another piece of trivia actually that you may not have heard before. Have you ever heard the rumor that none other than Rey Mysterio played a stunt double for Robert Englund as Freddy in this movie? It has been
Really?
said for years now that it was him. However, on a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet, he said, "Why does everybody keep asking me that? My sister-in-law just asked me last week. Of course, it is false. Unless it was my uncle, however, Rey Mysterio Sr. did something as a stunt double on that movie. That's the only way I could put it. I've never asked him. I'm sure he might have done it, but there's a big difference between Rey Mysterio Sr. and me. He's twice my size. It was my uncle."
Is it actually his uncle?
Supposedly so.
That's funny. Rey Mysterio's a little dude, man.
Supposedly there's a part I think doesn't Freddy fly out of the water?
Oh yeah, that scene's
lands on the
cool,
dock.
man. Yeah.
I think that's the scene that they're referring to.
Really? Look at this. This is his look is awesome. I was just gonna say some of the looks that they give Freddy is pretty dope. Look at that. He looks like some demonic.
Yeah, that's
demon.
scary.
I just put up demon Freddy.
That's scary looking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like some of the different the makeup.
Those weird like pointy fucking ears and like sharp teeth.
Yeah, we don't need this.
I mean, I'd watch that.
Freddy vs. Jason was almost directed by Rob Zombie, supposedly.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, not everybody.
I seen people being
hate
like,
that guy.
I seen people being like, oh, if Rob Zombie had got that franchise, Camp Crystal Lake would have been a trailer park, and all this shit. Like,
there'd be swearing nonstop. Every other word would be fuck.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, actually, I was I don't know what made me come across it. I was looking at an interview with who's the actor who plays the sheriff in The Devil's Rejects?
Oh, I can look that up. I know who you're talking about.
He's a pretty famous actor.
Don't you find us funny, Bill?
William
Moses?
Forsythe.
Oh, William Force. Oh, yeah.
He plays the remember like the weird stepdad guy in Rob Zombie's Halloween,
Yeah. He's in
and
Deuce Bigelow. That's funny.
there's a podcast interview with him, and he was talking about that scene he has with Sherry Moon Zombie where they're sitting at the breakfast table.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
the kids are getting up for school and stuff at the very start of the movie, and he's like, Rob told me not to tell Sherry what I was going to say,
Yeah, keep
and
going.
I need to just improvise something like and be as much of a scumbag as I can. And he says, I think it's just such a good line because he's sitting there and she says, I can't remember what she says to him. And he's like, bitch, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to skull fuck the shit out of you. Okay, so I got some more trivia here. James Wan was originally going to direct this film, but was already committed to directing Saw and was too busy with other film projects. During test and advanced screenings, the ending was not added to the film. Instead, the following text appeared. On August 15th, 2003, see the final 60 seconds to see who had survived and what is left of them. This is direct reference to the tagline from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah, of
which
course.
is also who will survive and what will be left of them. That's kind of a unique way of doing this for the test
Yeah.
screenings.
Which is honestly, I would say one of the best taglines.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
good.
for sure. New Line Cinema's advertising budget for this movie surpassed the marketing campaigns for all 10 previous Friday the 13th movies combined.
Wow, that's crazy.
They were really putting it on this one. Like this got huge marketing at the time.
Well, I was sitting on the website, so
Jerking off.
yeah.
In the posters for this movie, Freddy's glove is on the wrong hand. On his
Weird.
left hand when it should have been on his right hand.
Huh.
Robert Englund himself pointed this out in the DVD commentary, but there was no way to fix this as the posters had already been printed and shipped worldwide.
Wow.
Kind of a weird, like,
Yeah, it is
mishap.
weird. I'm looking at the poster right now. Weird. Huh. Because they have to have it that way, or they could have switched them from one side to the other.
What do you think about the idea of, like, obviously, Kane Hodder is like a fan favorite, and a lot of people like applaud him as like the pinnacle of Jason Voorhees. But what do you think of the idea of him being replaced for this film by that Ken Kersinger fellow?
I
That
thought he did
stunt actor dude.
pretty well. He was a big dude. He's done other stuff, has he not?
Yeah, I would think so. Probably.
I thought, like, I don't know. Kane Hodder would have been good. I think almost like maybe he should have been Jason, but Kane Hodder's also kind of he's not super tall. And I do think the idea of like having a towering Jason over Freddy, because Freddy's like such a small guy. I do think that it says Rey Mysterio in the IMDb. Like if you look up cast, it says Rey Mysterio jumper.
Yeah, supposedly it's that thing where he jumps on the dock.
Yeah, so weird. And he's like, no, that wasn't me. I swear to God.
So I
Yeah,
don't know.
Robert Shea was the principal. Fuck Robert Shea. I don't know why I got beef with him. He just looks like a weirdo.
He does actually look like a weirdo.
So weird. Yeah, and it's just yeah, I'm just trying to look through, see if I could find more of the stuff with this. Yeah, plays Jason, but I thought he did a pretty good job. It's a very memorable Jason, the weird little eye that you always see. You know, and then
we talked about like how well the movie done worldwide and stuff. Can you guess what outside of obviously the States or whatever, North America, can you guess where the next biggest market for this movie was?
Japan.
How did you know that?
I don't know. I just Japanese people for some reason love like horror and dark shit, and like I have a horror Japanese game called The Night Shift or whatever. It's so weird, but I played it all the way through, and I forgot to record it. I want to play it again and then put it on Patreon because it's weird. You're like you go to like this kind of like a shop and you're like ordering coffee, and then it just gets weirder as it goes, and it's like this thing follows you, and this weird Asian guy talks. They're like super into horror stuff, man. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked by that. And supposedly they reckon it was because Friday the 13th was so popular in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I love it, Jason. He loves to slash.
Random?
Do you okay, that's Japanese accent's very thick and guttural, and then with Chinese you got to go a little higher.
How do you feel about this? Pinhead appearing at the end, mediating Freddy and Jason's battle in hell.
That didn't happen.
No, but how would you feel about that?
That would be very funny. I don't know if I would like it. It'd be too cheesy, but it would be cool if like he showed up in like a ref t-shirt and he's like, let's go. I was gonna say there's a funny scene where like Freddy's when his realization that he's in like the real world and he's like holding on to Laurie after me and you have talked about the scene before where he like gets his little knife fingers up there and it's like almost an uncomfortable scene because
what does he say to her again?
This is gonna hurt or some stupid shit.
It always gets a little bloody the first time or something like
It
that.
always gets a little messy. It goes messy. And he starts to like lift up her skirt. That scene's pretty disturbing. And then she burns her arm and it kind of wakes her up. But his like in that like guitar riff, and then Freddy's like kind of just turns. And then his face is like he's like shocked that he's in the real world now because he sees Jason like flip a table like he's Jesus. And he's like coming in and he's like, what the hell? That scene's actually pretty memorable because you see his face like change of like, oh shit, I was just gonna finger this chick with my butter knives and now.
Do you remember the scene where he's like tormenting Jason when he's like that young kid? And he's like, oh, how sweet. And then he rips off the mask and he's like, ugh, ugly little shit.
And he's like, I always remember that scene because he's like this. He's like just twitching and shit.
Remember he pushes the fucking thing into the side of his head?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good like just uncomfortable. And that's when he dives into his head. It's like Jason, they're all chasing him. I loved all that stuff, like very nostalgic scenes. I'd actually really do love that aspect of kind of diving into and hearkening back to the original Friday the 13th, and even to see Jason actually at camp rather than to see him coming out of the lake. You know what I mean? But you see him actually in camp with like the counselors not paying attention to him. And that scene where it's like, what? It's like really slow when Laurie comes up. It's like, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be watching him? And then Fred's like, she's dead on her feet or whatever.
I love that where he's like, this bitch is dead on her feet. And he's like using her arm, like waving it around like this.
Good scene though, man. For like, that's what you need it to be comical though, because we can't have it so serious, as I said before on Jason X. Like things don't have to be serious. This is like most horror movies are pretty cheesy, and that's part of the fun of horror movies, especially slasher films, man. That's literally the whole part of it. Oh, it's just like, what is this? Oh, sweet. This is lines.
There's your lines from the two dudes.
Check out this fucking guy. Oh yeah, he's like, well, hey there, Jethro. This is a rave, not a Halloween party. Why don't you go find yourself a pig to fuck? That's literally how he says it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, invite only, cum poke. Yeah, that's when he's like, and you weren't invite. Yeah, that's what I forgot. And he's literally says like some like dumb joke. And you weren't invite, and then his like head just cracks around. So good.
Oh,
Son
good,
of a bitch. You're the one that killed Troy. Oh, don't worry about my little errand boy. The only thing to fear is fear himself. I wish I could do a Robert Englund, but I can't. It's so funny. It's actually cool looking up look at you. You're exhausted. We need to get going. So you're the one everyone's afraid of. Tell me something. What kind of faggot runs around in a Christmas sweater? I mean, come on, get real. You're not even scary. You're not even scary. Let's talk about those butter knives. What's with the butter knives? You trying to compensate for something? Maybe coming up a little short between the legs, Mr. Krueger? And I love when Robert Englund's like, and kind of just points. It's so good. And then Jason just fucking tomahawks or like whacks her so fucking hard.
I love that even more though, that he doesn't like cut her in half. He like blasts her across the fucking.
So good. I will never forget Freddy's going, when he's like kind of like watching her, and then he's like, so funny, so good. Penny for your thoughts, Chief. that's what he sticks the blade in his head. Penny for your thoughts.
So weird. Like,
that's it. You mean you're not coming? That's what she says.
it's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet.
Starfishing it. Hey, Mark, don't you forget about me. Oh, God.
Wait, I remember that. He's like, your eyes say no, no, but my mouth says yes, yes.
And it's bringing it back to like the OG Nightmare on Elm Street where he's like licking Nancy with the phone and stuff. So weird. I've always had a thing for whores that live in this house.
I love Freddy, man. He's just so ridiculous.
Welcome to my world, bitch. I should warn you, princess. The first time gets a little messy. That's the one. So funny. What a classic film, man. And then I gotta say, I love the ending when she's like, welcome to my world, bitch. And she fucking cuts his head off. That scene's sick, dude. And like, I love that whole, like them, like everything's getting lit on fire. This whole battle breaks out. Like even the overall battle, like this could have been way worse. And I'm very glad that they did do it, especially the Asian fellow, Ronnie or whatever. He did it justice of the direction, and whoever cut it, whoever did the editing, I think did a good job. So, like,
Yeah.
the fight scene was memorable. It was classic, and it was gory and violent. And almost like I wrote down that it was like, I thought it was funny. And I remember watching it because this is a movie that I watched like I wish I did it this time. But when I had it on DVD, I watched all of the special features, all the commentary stuff, all of that stuff, right? And I feel like I remember what's his name, Ronny Chung, whatever his name is.
Ronny Yu.
Yeah, I'm just being really racist.
So rude.
Yeah, the Bugs Bunny type Elmer Fudd shit. I remember him commenting on that's kind of what he was going for a little bit. Something along those lines of like, Bugs Bunny versus Elmer Fudd, how there's this kind of like comical back and forth of each one trying to get each other. And that's kind of what the fight scene was like, but in like a horror movie.
And you know what as well, right? For as ridiculous as it is, I do find I will critique things quite a bit and like look for kind of cringe. And
Yeah.
like there's lots of cringe in this movie, don't get me wrong. But like even in the fight scene where like Freddy's doing all that weird like luchador like kung fu shit and all, he's like jumping up and kneeing him in the head.
Oh
and, like,
yeah.
roundhouse kicking him and all. And like I don't know, there's part of my brain that's like so dumb. What is this? Like Freddy's doing roundhouse kicks. And I'm like, for some reason, this just works in this world.
I know. And I know, because like it shouldn't, but it does. Or when he's like, he has that cement mixer, whatever that thing is, and he's like hit like where Jason, he's being smart, because realistically, you're having to think. That's why I'm like impressed by this movie. That if it was in the hands of somebody else, it could have been way worse. God knows what the hell we could have gotten. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to critique it. Like, could have been better, because I really did enjoy it. But Freddy has to be strategical against Jason, because Jason's just a dumb. He's a Riri. He's a killing machine, right? That's all he knows. It's all he's ever gonna be. So Freddy's got the smarts on him. So he's like trying to do things like where he chops that thing off, and then you have all of the it's like to build concrete.
Like rebar shit.
Yeah, and then it comes down, starts spiking him, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna cut this off, and then he ends up it's his own folly, right? Because it ends up tying him up. And then he's like, oh no.
There's one bit actually that I find, and it makes me kind of cringe every time, and I don't mind the end part of it, but as it's happening, I'm like, You remember the bit where he goes behind all the gas canisters? He's like, man, the torpedoes. And now I don't mind that, right? The next bit is what I don't like, is when it shows it's a side shot of Jason walking like this,
kind of dodging it,
and like all the oaks are going like,
and
he's going like, and it just looks terrible. And then when it cuts back when he gets hit by one of them, it looks fine again. But that scene, for some reason, I was like, why does that look like really bad, like superimposed?
Weird. I didn't even notice that. The part of me like likes it, but doesn't. Some of the goofiness, like I don't know how else you could have done this without it being
Yeah.
like without it being kind of goofy. Because I'm trying to think of like another way it could have been done, where their battle was just them just like tearing each other apart. But you have to have those little things where he gets hit by one of those compressed air fucking bottles, and then he's like it hits him in the stomach and he flies away. And like, but it's I don't know, we have to realize that, like, especially with these movies, they're supposed to be kind of comical, man. Like that, it's especially Freddy Krueger, man, and Jason, but especially Freddy. He's not a very serious character, especially after what was done to him after the first one. The first one always freaked me out, was scary. And then you got the gayest Nightmare on Elm Street ever, the second one, and then it just gets weirder from there. I still love them all. If you guys have not listened to the huge deep dive we did on it, definitely check it out. But I don't know, man. It's crazy because of all the films we've covered, this is the one where I can't really critique much because I actually absolutely do love it, and I have nothing but good memories.
That's a big people are probably gonna when they hear this from oh folks sake, dick riding, but like I literally cannot fault this movie. I love this movie so
I
much. Everything about it is like I know it's ridiculous. That's the thing. I understand that.
know.
That's like I feel like this is like the epitome of exactly what I want.
I know.
I want to just not have to care. It's just fun from start to finish.
I'm so jealous that you're doing that movie club thing, dude. I'd love to be there. I would just get ripped out of my mind and have a bunch of drinks and just have a ball with it. Cause that's such a cool thing you're able to do, man. Cause I would love to see this like on a big screen, like with fucking friends, homies, all that stuff.
That's
And,
I see. Yeah, you see, it's not
and you
that
can
it's not
promote
the
that.
same for
Yeah.
me because, like, let's say if you were here, I'd be able to have drinks, probably be able to do like some sort of a talk and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. Whereas now it just feels very like I kind of just go there, set the thing up, and then wait for it to be over.
Yeah. How many, do
So
you have many people? Cause you got a bunch of people for The Exorcist, right?
yeah, well, it's like it seats 110, I think, in
Yeah.
total. So it's normally like anywhere from like 50 to 80 people.
That's still cool, man.
But like it's just not
You
as
can
fun,
shout
obviously,
this
when
episode out too, man. Fucking, crazy. Like I said, worst comes to worst, if we have to do it sometime, just bring me on stage and put a webcam so I can see all the people in the
that'd
audience.
be
Dude,
so
it'd be
good.
so funny.
That'd be so good, actually. Have
So
your head up on the
I'll
screen.
just be absurd like I usually am.
Let's see. I did have some more trivia here. Do you want to take some of these?
Some of the early scripts had abandoned concepts, including Freddy peeing on the Holy Grail. Wow, we had that dog scene in what was that? Part 4 or whatever. A boxing scene and a hockey scene. Oh, Canadian, eh? That would be, I don't know, man. The boxing scene, I feel like because they're already playing around with that comical type aspect of it, it would have been funny. Freddy getting beamed by a satellite ray into the sun? That's fucking weird. Freddy needing to collect 13 dream demons to reinstate his powers. Alice, Jacob, and Tommy would be main characters. That's kind of fun. Having a wall constructed around Crystal Lake to keep people out. Weird. Camp Crystal Lake would have been torn down at the end. What do they mean torn down? What do they mean the wall? Do you know what they mean by that?
There would have been a wall constructed around Crystal Lake.
Oh, to keep people out.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, Crystal Lake would have been completely destroyed, and it would have been like no more, basically.
That's funny. It's like Trump got to build the wall. I can't do a Trump, but 40 minutes were cut from the movie. Wow. 12 of those minutes would have ended up on the DVD as the lead scenes, but the rest of it we are unknown, mostly in the New Line Cinemas archive. Bro, what the fuck, man? Give me that shit.
I know.
Give me the 2 hour and whatever 10 minutes it would have been. Dude, that'd be so cool. Not kind of
40
flashback.
minutes.
Freddy only kills one person in the film. Who does he kill?
Is it? Does he? No, he doesn't kill Blake, does he?
Who does he kill in a dream? I'm trying to think. Who does he kill? That's disappointing. I did not know that. But I guess that's why he's pissed, because Jason's doing all the killing. Literally all of it. Even when he's hunting down the one broad that didn't show her boobs because she was mad about it. She deserved, she did the right to be mad. But yeah, weird. I'm trying to think. Who was that? Huh. That's gonna bother me now.
So
I know the
let's-
stoner kid, right? Does he kill the stoner kid? Because he has the Freddy's. I'm pretty. Yeah, I think he. Yeah, he kills. Yeah, but maybe not because the kid he ends up like becoming. He's possessed by Freddy. Remember? Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
about
no,
that scene too, man. Where he's
it's
like
not him.
weird. He's possessed by Freddy. Let me handle this bitch or whatever the hell Freddy said. That's gonna bother me now that I don't know. Weird. That's kind of disappointing. He only kills one person. What a little bitch. No wonder he's like disappointed. And that one scene where he's like, "She's mine, she's mine," and he's like pissed because he wanted to kill the one chick in the locker. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
He's
Yeah, I
like,
like that actually. That's good.
"She's mine," and he's like looking in the locker for her. In the earlier drafts of the script, 2 twists were considered that would have been connected to the past of Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. One considered twist. Oh, it's got a twist. Was that Freddy either raped, or whatever, or had consensual sex encounter with Jason's mother? Pamela was a whore, most likely. You know, she had that pent up frustration of raising a handicapped child. She needed to get it out. As a result, had unknowingly fathered Jason. That would have been ridiculous to me, though.
Yeah, I would have actually.
Another plot twist was considered that Freddy had worked at Camp Crystal Lake in the past and had either molested Jason as a child or somehow connected to his drowning, being a child murderer. I could have been kind of clever if they did it right. With some of these, you can make something ridiculous look pretty good and on film. You know what I mean? You have the potential to do that. And potential sexual offender, obviously, thus giving Jason a motive to track down and kill Freddy. Both ideas were eventually dropped as producers felt it was too contrived and too dark for the film. Motherfucker, it's a horror film. I hate that shit where they're like, well, it's too dark, right? Like the idea of like, I really want a Freddy Krueger film that shows what he was like in Springwood. You know, and it's like, man, there's some weird films out there, man.
Like a lot of people love that. Is it the pilot episode of Freddy's Nightmares TV show where it shows him in the courtroom and stuff?
Oh yeah, man.
And
I would love
it's
to watch
Robert
it.
Englund without like the Freddy shit. He has like his normal face.
That's something we should be doing for the Patreon because I thought that I had it on the DVD thing, and it's not. It's just the special features. I thought the last disc or whatever because I have the DVD and the Blu-ray. I don't think it's on either. I don't think it is.
Do you want to hear some of the other suggested ideas for this movie that we could have got? Well, obviously, everyone has heard of the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. So obviously, Ash Williams from Evil Dead would have been brought in, and he would have been seen as a kind of a hero that would have been tasked with sending both Freddy and Jason back to hell. That obviously went on to be like a kind of a comic book spin-off, I think.
They should have just done a movie on it, the second movie, right?
That's what they were going to do, and I don't know. I think it became too. I think the biggest issue was it took so long to agree to get Freddy versus Jason made, and then they were bringing in another franchise,
Yeah.
and it just became like a fucking.
Oh man.
So another one we have is a new cult of followers resurrect Freddy and Jason simultaneously, setting up a deadly cat and mouse game where they are pitted against one another in a larger supernatural environment, incorporating modern day technology such as VR, where Freddy manipulates Jason's kills in the real world.
That sounds pretty dumb. Not gonna lie.
That sounds like Leprechaun in space territory.
Yeah. I don't like that. Not a fan.
Let's see, what else do we have? A reverse story where Jason terrorizes Freddy's home turf of Springwood. This time, Freddy has to defend his territory as Jason slices his way through town. The people of Springwood could serve as an unwitting pawns in Freddy's plan to eliminate Jason.
Then we have Super Freddy. He comes in. He's like, "You ain't fucking with my town," you know.
There's another one called Final Hell Showdown, the ultimate supernatural finale. Freddy and Jason are finally imprisoned in hell, but they have a last opportunity to escape. Set the entire movie in hell, featuring horror villains like Pinhead or Leatherface.
I don't know, man. You know what would be a good showdown, and I think this could be a wink, wink, nod, nod for a Patreon episode. Is like doing. I've always wanted to do serial killers versus slashers, but I'm like that doesn't make sense because a lot of times, like slasher film killers are not real people. I think that doing an episode on serial killer versus serial killer, who would one takes all, who would win, would be very fun for Strange Roost Patreon. But for our Patreon, we could do slasher killers versus each other. And I think that would be awesome. Like, I joked with Shane from Inquiries of Reality. I was like, he stole my idea of cryptids versus cryptids. Because I had that. I never told him about it. He just like came up with it, obviously, too. But I had that idea for Patreon episodes of like, oh, Mothman versus the Flatwood Monster and stuff like that, right? Of who would win. But I think it would be clever to do slasher films because then it's like who Scream versus you want someone who's more like generic, like a real Michael Myers, right? Who would win in that? Because they're able to be killed, right? So you have to like think of those factors. So I think it would be fun because like then I feel like Leatherface versus Jason would be kind of funny because it's two retards going against each other. You know what I mean? It's two like handicapped kids like trying to duke it out.
Yeah, and the two of them seem like quite unstoppable in a way.
And both of them, right? So like, but Leatherface is like still human, right? So it is so that's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod. Also, I was gonna look up behind the scenes too. Who the hell's that bald fuck in the background of Freddy?
It must be one of the stunt doubles or something, is it?
Weird, probably.
Or is it the guy who played Jason? No.
Oh yeah, it might be. He looks very young in that. Weird.
I'm not sure 100% what he looks like. You see the raver on a wire there about to get fucked across the cornfield.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's when he spears that dude. So funny. And he he tosses. I actually wrote that down. That he like tosses him to the abyss. He literally flies over the cornfield.
Or in the top left-hand corner, we have Jason looking like Roy Burns.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the cowl on him or whatever.
Oh, that's so funny. And
I don't know why, but that middle photo of Freddy with the Jason mask over his face, I don't know, that gives me like huge, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm looking back in time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. Because I feel like they were showing clips of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, here we go. I was gonna look up. Keep going. We can talk. I was gonna try to bring up the weigh in. So funny. I wish we could play this. But we'll get.
I know. Yeah, I know. Well,
copyright.
Yeah, this was obviously Robert Englund's last time as Freddy Krueger.
I brought that up just so people could at least see on the YouTube. If you haven't, like, this is bloody disgusting. That's funny. We unearthed never seen footage from the Las Vegas Freddy versus Jason weigh-in. Oh, that's so disappointing, man. And it's so funny that this is in Las Vegas where they would have like boxing matches and stuff, and to have them. And
they had fucking Michael Buffer who announces the boxing. He's in the background there. If you look at the guy in the white tuxedo,
yeah,
in the left-hand corner, that's Michael Buffer.
Is that the dude that does the UFC?
No, that's his cousin, Bruce Buffer.
Really? Of course. Yeah. That's so funny. Conor McGregor. Yeah, I heard Sugar Shane O'Malley's fight, man. I fucking kind of want to watch that one, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's fighting. Is it this weekend?
Yeah, I won't have time. I have stuff going on.
They're doing this thing, the Las Vegas Sphere or whatever.
Yeah, the wife's like, it's too late, man. It's like 1 a.m. by the time they start fighting, and you're like sleeping. She slept. The one with Sean. What?
Dude, here it's like if I stay up and watch them, because I used to stay up and watch every UFC card.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't finish till 7:30 a.m.
That's so crazy. You really have to take a nap, man, before you.
Dude, I used to want to die. Afterwards, I'd be all like depressed and I'll have like anxiety.
Some of these pictures are so funny though. The weigh-in is hilarious that they did that. I think that's so funny that they like. It's just, man, so cool.
Cool marketing gimmick.
I know.
Probably got a shit ton of people talking about it because even if people were saying like, "Oh, this is so dumb," everyone was probably talking about it.
Look how tall he is compared to him. That's why they chose
it does, yeah, and it does look good, I have to say.
Yeah, it looks awesome, man. That
it does look good.
And I'm trying to like pull back. You should put that shit up on Instagram and TikTok. I don't think you'll get flagged for that on those, even if you just do like a minute clip of them being weighed in, because that's fun. Because that's such a fun, like, it's so I just find I find YouTube, it's support Rumble, everybody. Everybody listens to this, support Rumble. Class Horrorcast is on there, Stranger Podcast is on there. It is a great platform, and it allows the ability for people, especially like who knows if they get flagged eventually, but like it allows more opportunity for people to show things and clips of things, where YouTube has gone full blown like communist on that stuff, where they're like, don't show 2 minutes. And it's like, I think it should be allowed, like 3, 4, even 5 minutes should be allowed. But Aaron's channel's been getting hit by that stuff, and it's the stupidest shit too. It's very dumb stuff. It doesn't even make sense of why it'd be copyrighted.
I was just realizing as well, this hat looks more like a fucking pilgrim's hat than anything.
It is weird. Yeah, it's weird. Mine's way bigger. Mine looks like
Yeah,
a
no,
fucking hat.
this isn't even a Freddy hat. It's just some random fucking like brown
Weird.
hat that I had.
Mine looks more like a cowboy
yeah.
hat, but
I think yours looks pretty good though compared to this fucking thing. I look like a pilgrim with this on.
I bought it from Spirit of Halloween. I was obsessed. I have 2 sweaters because one I bought way oversized.
Do you like? I've gone through all my notes and everything now. Do you have anything else to add? Because I do have like a final little thing that I would like to end this on.
Yeah, I told you, man. You're like, we're gonna keep it to this. I'm like, it's not gonna happen. It's like, this is one of both of our favorite movies. It's probably we cover so many things on the show, and this is something that, who knew, man? I didn't know when I was a I don't know, 12, 13-year-old boy that, and I've told you this, that for all the fans listening to this, we really appreciate you. And I always talk to conspiracies and paranormal and dark, weird, occult stuff throughout my life. And my co-host will tell you that stuff. Like Billy will tell you, like, I was in his ear talking about reptilians and stuff all the time, right? But something that was always very close to my heart, ever before using Ouija boards or anything, because it kind of opened the door to that stuff of the paranormal, was horror movies. And who knew it's such a weird thing that in my life that we end up meeting to do the show. It's fucking weird, dude. And that you were kind of into conspiracy and especially the paranormal stuff, and then just kind of made this bridge. And it's very weird because I didn't expect this. And who knew when I was a kid that I'd be sitting here talking about Freddy versus Jason on a podcast, and at the time they didn't even exist. For one of my
right. Actually, that's kind of wild when you think about it. It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. And now we're sitting here discussing a film that we really both love. And there's gonna be many more. We have something fun coming next. I'm actually excited to get into that because that's gonna be a weird one.
Do you so here's kind of what I wanted to end the whole thing on, because I know this is like such a big debate online. I think people still debate this stuff on Reddit and shit.
Who won?
In your mind, is there a clear winner?
Not really, man.
So like if you look
Freddy
on like
at the end is something that is stuck with everybody, I think. They cut off his head.
Yeah, like if you look on some of the stuff, it has, now obviously I know that anybody can edit things like that, but it had Jason listed as alive and Freddy listed as deceased. Because
his head is cut off. How do you come back from that? Right? If they would have cut off Jason's head, which I'm surprised through all the franchise, they have to keep him going, but through all the franchise, it's like they didn't think once to like saw his head off, even when Tommy Jarvis is at his grave. Cut off his head, bro. Why are you trying to shove a spear into his gut? So it's sad, but I think Jason won. But Jason, for some reason, is able to like withstand so much torture. But the thing, if they cut off his head, it would be over. Because Jason can't come back from that. He's not like this mythical creature like Freddy is, like this. Okay, I just one more image to pull up. This shit just makes me laugh. Just Jason sitting on his bed alone. Just a sad boy. So it's an image of Jason sitting in that cool ass cabin that they had him in, and he's just sitting with his machete like he's a little sad boy on this little bed for a big man. He's like, I know what this photo should be captioned as for a meme. Like, I miss Freddy. I wish they didn't cut off his head. I wanted to do that.
I don't like, because I can't help but feel like having Freddy wink and laugh as like the final thing was supposed to be like a little nod of being like, of course he's not dead. It's not over.
But then how do you explain how his head goes back on? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do
I
that
mean, he did regrow arms and stuff in the movie, so
in the dream world?
he could just regrow a body or something. Yeah, but the question is then, this is my point. The question is, were they ever truly out of the dream world?
Ha! You could play that where they were all like asleep and
Like that this whole thing was all Freddy's doing.
I know the ending's so sick where they're like, "Go to hell, Freddy," and like just he pours gasoline and burns him, and then it just keeps getting like. And then remember that scene? Like it's just good to remember, like to just remember that once where he's like, you see the machete and he's walking and walking, and then it pans up and it's Freddy like barely alive, missing an arm. And he's like, "Fuck you, bitch." And then that's when Jason comes up and then uses his own arm to like shove in his stomach. And it's like, well, they literally did brutalize each other. So it's a kind of a good way to end a film, man.
Yeah, it was a very good scene, I think. The amount of like blood and just like how fucked up the two of them were. And I don't think you could have made that fight any other like what do you think was gonna happen when you put two of the biggest names in horror
Uh,
against each other? They're obviously gonna tear each other apart and like be covered in blood and
yeah.
whatever. How do you feel about the concept of like I suppose Jason's kind of like the good guy-ish?
Technically,
Yeah, like
out of both of them, he's the one that's just I just want to be left alone. Why did you take me out of and disturb me from my grave? You know, but they need to feel the fear, right? So that's the idea of them bringing that back. But I don't. It is an interesting concept, and everybody, man, it's time, man. We're gearing up for Halloween, man. It is that time. I'm very excited. Make
I
sure
love
to
this
you.
movie so fucking much.
I know. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite. 10 out of 10, man. 10
Yeah.
machetes and butter knife
I
fingers.
I'm genuinely gonna
Yeah.
give this a 10 out of 10, which
10
is
out of 10.
very, very, very rare. I don't think we've ever given a movie a 10 out of
Never.
10.
It's never happened. It was some of the screams were like, like an 8.59, but 10 out of 10, one of my favorite films ever. I waited a long time for it. I was a giddy little boy for this movie. But we're ramping up for the Halloween season. I'm very excited. We're gonna start doing some stuff at Strange Brew. More you would say real, but it's not real. We have some haunting cases coming. I'm pretty excited. There's an episode me and Aaron are going to do next week, the time probably this comes out and stuff, about a haunting that has to do with the Conjuring film. That at some point me and Aaron will cover. Maybe we'll harken back to the episode we're about to do. But there's now look at the guy from Jerry Only from the Misfits.
They do actually.
But I'm very excited because I love Halloween. I love this season, and I want to make sure that we do a lot of fun content for both of our shows. And then we're gonna have our own Halloween special. I've already decided I'm gonna buy. I already picked out the mask I want from Spirit of Halloween. I'm gonna buy with my other costume. I was almost gave it away, and and for our special. So we're gonna have a special on Stranger Podcast. I'm very excited. It's gonna be fun. Aaron, if he's not there, I'm gonna fly to Ireland and I'm going to murder him myself.
That might be a good way to get Tom to Ireland.
Yeah, dude, no, you better show up.
I
It'll
know,
be
it's
late
great.
his time, but we're gonna have fun. And then me and him have something very special planned. We're ironing out the details, but I'm pretty excited actually.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff coming. Consistency is back, obviously. I had fun doing this. This is one of
Me
those
too,
movies I could probably sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours.
That's why
And
you're like an hour 15. I was like, bullshit. That's not gonna happen, man.
in my head, I was like, let's try and keep it to that so we're not like, overdoing
Rambling.
it or whatever. But it's very hard, like, especially with something like this to like
We
you just
both
have so much love for it. It's just a fun. This in my mind is like
the pinnacle
the
of horror. Just like, yeah.
yeah, like the perfect horror movie, and I don't mean that from a point of like I wouldn't expect it to win Oscars or anything like that. I'm not talking about it from that point of view, but like a movie that you can put on. I can't imagine somebody putting on this movie and not being entertained in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
I
saying.
would be shocked.
It's an entertaining horror movie. It's so good, man. I love it.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, I think, from both of us.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think there's any clear-cut winner. I think it's all left up to interpretation, which I kind of like.
Me
It's
too.
fair, and
Me
like
too.
it's fair for both fan bases.
Yeah.
That like nobody really gets told like, well, that's the end of him or that's the end of him. It kind of still is left.
Yeah, I do think that we should do a slasher versus slasher episodes for Patreon, even if it's shorter. And for all the fans out there, maybe we'll release the first one or something like that, where it's like a 20-minute, half an hour. Okay, this is the first round up. You know what I mean? And like it'll be kind of fun because we play some sound effects of like, let's get. I thought we could copyright for this, but at the beginning of this, I was gonna put the "Are you ready to rumble?" Because like that's what this movie
We'll
is all
probably get
about, man.
copywritten for
Yeah,
that.
of course, everything. I just don't
Um,
care. On my side, I'm like, whatever. I'm not monetized anyway because we got labeled controversial and dangerous content on my show. So yeah, I can't get monetized.
yeah, I've still gotten away with that so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate everyone for getting this far. As
Yeah.
always, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate it a lot.
Let us know what you think of this movie, and let us know who you think won the battle of
I'd love to know.
the Titans of Terror, as they call them.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see everybody real soon in the next one as we gear up for Halloween.
Yes. 5-star rating review. Support the show. We appreciate it, and we love everybody for listening. I love